Hi, everyone. This is welcome to Around the World in 80 Oysters with me, Julie Chu from In a Half Shell. Welcome so much. Thank you so much for joining in live. This is my first live stream ever. Most of you guys know me from being an Oyster blog or Oyster grammar on In a Half Shell. But since I've been stuck in my New York City apartment for the last 20 some days, I thought it would be interesting to try something new. And I'm sure you've seen a lot of live streaming around too. What we're going to talk about today is oysters in Brazil. I have an amazing guest with me that I'm going to bring on right now. So, hi Felipe.
Everyone.
Welcome. So, just a quick little intro for Felipe. This is Felipe Casertani. He is a biologist with a marine aquaculture degree based in a beautiful coastal city in the state of Sao Paulo, Brazil. And has been farming oysters and other shellfish in both Chile and Brazil in his career. Today, he runs his own mobile raw bar business on Enfim Ostras.
Yeah.
And you can find him on Instagram at the handle that is typed in at the bottom. So Felipe, welcome.
Welcome, everyone. Welcome, Julie. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Awesome. Well, we're just going to jump right in here because I'm sure everybody like myself are super curious about oysters in Brazil. I was just, we were just offline. I was telling you I actually had a Brazilian oyster in 2010 in Rio, and it was impossible to try and find this thing. It took me forever, but I finally did it. So now I'm really curious about what is going on right now in Brazil. But first, before we dive into the market, I guess I want to ask you, what inspired you to start your own mobile oyster bar business? Like, when did you launch? What was that about?
Yeah, I was in 2016 that I started the mobile raw bar. I'm working with the oyster farms since 2010. And before that, I was studying my master course in especially with scallops and everything like mussels and abalones. I was in 2016, and what took me to do the mobile robot, it was the understanding that the people doesn't realize, especially in my country, how to handle, how to open properly, how to serve, and how to deal with the raw oyster. They normally, in the seafood culture here, they cook everything, and the oyster is not an easy option to
do. So yeah,
like that.
Well, tell me, I'm curious, tell me a little bit more about Brazilian seafood culture, and how oysters, how people view oysters that is maybe different or similar to other seafood.
Yeah, they see it as a different kind of product, a different from mussels, from shrimps that they normally have it. So they don't have the intimacy with the raw eating oysters. So it took me like a little bit to realize that it was not easy to show, and I need to show like in front of the people. So I start to do this mobile version. I mean, I can shuck the oyster in front of the client, so they will see what they have. And in the seafood culture in Brazil, we have normally a lot of shrimps, a lot of lobsters, a lot of octopus, and really good fishes like groupers and kind of things. But the oyster are normally left behind, like a strange food, a strange thing.
Oh.
Sad. It's sad.
It is sad. Well, when you're serving your oysters, are you doing it usually at parties, big events?
Yeah, I decided to go to this direction. I mean, there are a lot of people, not a lot of people, but a lot of restaurants in Sao Paulo, they already serve oysters. raw oysters and everything. They receive weekly, and we have a good transport of these oysters from the oyster farms. But I mean, I try to show uh, the oyster with me behind, like explaining, like teaching how it was shook, how where it came from, and everything. This background was absolutely necessary. I mean, I didn't realize before have the this kind of business the lack of information that the people have. I mean, they doesn't know how to eat. They doesn't know if they chew or if they swallow up, and a lot of things that was like really from the beginning of understanding of how eat oysters. So it was really necessary to do was a situation that I was explaining people how to eat oysters, and a lot of my clients are first timers, so they are starting to see the oyster with me. So I'm really happy with that. You know, they can ask in their restaurants, and they can say, oh, it's not that good, or it was bad shucked. You know, it's not good. They have a better reference with me. You know.
Yeah. So, I mean, I know in the U.S., you have oyster lovers sort of on both coasts of the country because that's where it's been the most prevalent. But you also have some people in the inside of the country also liking oysters. Is that the same in Brazil? Do you have mostly the oyster lovers like around the coastline, or are there some in the inner cities as well?
No, you can say that you have on the coastline, and you can say that you have in a different cities from northeast to the whole coast, including where we are in the southeast. So, but you will see some older guys, some kind of people that just is really interested in the local. Seafood culture and the local products and the raw and fresh products. It's not everyone that is interested in that. It's not easy to talk with the new generations that sometimes never saw that or never. It's a thing that from his grandpa and everything like that. They, you know, in Brazil we have this gap. The really the young generations, I mean, in the 25 age average, they just saw the oysters in the restaurants. I mean, they doesn't get where it came from and how they grow and everything. They doesn't realize that, you know, like a shrimp. When you see a shrimp uh, right now, half will be from aquaculture and half will be from fishery.
Mm-hmm.
But it's easy to understand. Oh, they fish. Oh, they a fish. They grow in tanks or they have it from the sea. But the oyster, they have a lack of information. How they grow. The oyster eats something. What they give to the oyster. I mean,
Sure.
it's a lot of questions that
Yeah, you can ask infinite questions about that, and
infinite
ultimately
questions.
you find yourself in an oyster farm, just sort of
It's
every
a
day.
it's a funny situation in the events. Really, really
So,
fun.
well, I know that you had mentioned to me that the younger generation has taken up eating a kind of oyster, right?
Yeah.
You were saying it's it was like a baked oyster?
No, sometimes bake it, but they say they offer oyster here, even in the barbecue house. You know, they have the oyster as an option in the buffet of salads. You know,
Okay,
it's
so
a
that's normal.
it's normal half they have in better restaurants, in good restaurants, but they doesn't show properly, they doesn't open properly, they doesn't care about serving a good oyster, or they just want to have, you know,
Yeah,
oyster. It's
yeah,
okay to have it anyone. So sometimes this kind of treatment to the oyster put the oysters in a situation that it's not good. You know, sometimes the people will have it and say, ah, it's not good. Sometimes good, sometimes it's not good. I don't know. I don't want to try, you know, anymore.
yeah.
A lot of people say a lot of people say this to me, because of the format of serving. They
Yeah.
they don't like it. They don't trust. I mean,
yeah, that makes sense.
basically.
So we're going to jump gears here. We're going to talk about some of the oysters that are available in Brazil. So tell me about, what kind of species, are they the same as the ones we get in the U.S.? Where are they grown?
Yeah, we have the one oyster that they have in the whole world. The oyster, the most growing in the world. There is the Pacific one, the Casertani. They
Yep.
just they just grow this oyster in the south coast of the country, in the states of Santa Catarina, especially. They have in Florianopolis is the place.
Right here.
Yeah, this inner part. This Florianopolis is an island, and they have an inner part of the island, where they have a good channel. If you can see the inner part, the southwest part of the channel, it was the best part. Yeah, the best parts of the oyster that I like it came from here. The natives, and they can grow in the north part of the channel, in the south, and 90% of the production came to Sao Paulo, to the restaurants of Sao Paulo. So 10% is kept in Santa Catarina for the restaurants and the tourist part, but it's a small city compared to Sao Paulo, and Sao Paulo absorbs 90% of the production.
And by the way, this is where you are, yes?
Yeah, I mean, in the coast of the state of Sao Paulo, just in front of the Ilhabela, São Sebastião city.
I don't know about you guys. I really want to be there right now.
Yeah, it's a good place, warm, like 25, 26 degrees always, and we have beautiful views, rainforest really in front of me, the great South Atlantic, and behind that island of Ilhabela, you have like a wonderful places of diving. They have a lot of shipwrecks.
Oh yeah. I'm a scuba diver, so we have to make that happen.
This is a paradise for scuba diving. It's a really nice place.
Okay, good to know. By the way, if you guys are tuned in, you can actually ask some questions of your own in the comment section. I actually am able to see them. So if you have any questions for Felipe, just go for it. And I just actually see, thanks, Matt Giordano. I don't know if you're still online, but he was like, I ate a lot of oysters in Fortaleza.
Fortaleza in Ceará. They have a lot of oysters there, just like in Rio Grande do Norte, in Piauí, and the whole northeast coast. A lot of natives. They have the native there, especially grown in the roots of the mangrove trees.
Okay.
So they have some producers put it out from the mangrove tree and put like in bags, just in like in France or in other places with good tidal variation. In Ceará, they have a good tidal variation. Here, we don't have. We cannot do the same method here. But in Cananea, for example, the inner part of Cananea, they have a good variation because it's an estuary. So they have the same method of French bags fixed in the bottom. In Florianopolis, they have the full Japanese methods of hanging in long lines.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So the whole production of gigas in Florianopolis is based on this technique, on this Japanese technique of long lines with buoys and that lanternette. That is a bag like rounded that you hang in the line. And
do you see a difference in taste between the two species? Is there a difference?
Yeah, and the native. I'm sorry, I was talking about the native, and then go to the gigas. The natives in Northeast, they put it out, and there is a characterized by the low salinity in the meat. Okay. So This is a main character of this native Crassostrea brasiliana. If you have it like that, really small, you will see a really brown, almost brown meat, uh, like translucent, not too much meaty, like seeing like the white meat.
Okay.
If you have it here for this native in Cananea, you can have it more meaty oyster, but especially when you keep it in the bags for like a year. We have a fast growing gigas here. The Pacific here in Florianopolis, it came to the size of like commercial size of 7, 8 centimeters with almost 6 months. So it's really fast in the winter. You can have the oyster nice and beautiful, and you can have like the layers of production. You can have it the first wave of production, and then you have the second, the third, the fourth. You can overlap the seeding process,
So
and
you can always have a supply
you
for
can
your.
always have, yeah, you can easily achieve a state of always having. I start myself an oyster farm, a small one, after working the big oyster farm that they have here, the one big company. I came out and I start one by zero, and it was tough to understand the process in the beginning, but it was, I have work all day every day, so it was not
Quite.
easy at all. Yeah.
So now you get to enjoy it in
Yeah,
just
yeah.
that area
It
and
was like 5 years of working in the sea, like hard working, and to in the end of this process, I start actually the mobile route part, because I saw the I can produce, the other people can produce, but they don't understand how to serve.
yeah,
They
yeah.
they keep it bad, position it, and it runs out of the water. A lot of things that starts to happen, especially one day when I went to a bar with my wife to have an oyster. I was tired working all day. I was having a beer and an oyster, and I was the supplier of the oysters from the same bar. But the guys doesn't know me in the night. They just know me in the morning of Tuesdays. So I was having a beer, and when the oyster came, was terrible. Was absolutely destroyed. So, and it was my oyster. I was working 1 year and a half at least. So, in that very oyster, so I was absolutely shocked and sad, and I was throwing everything away. So, I say
Oh,
no. I'm not doing the best. I'm not doing the thing that I need to do. I need to leave the production, and give some advices and some things. And I keep going to Florianopolis sometimes. I keep in touch with the guys producing, but
yeah.
I don't have any more my production. Uh, and right now, I mean, I'm doing a better job because I'm serving more oysters. I'm I'm giving back to the producers what they need. They need to understand what I need to serve. They are growing really nice round shaped oysters, deep cup. I have a separated line in the farms, you know, that they
Yeah.
send to, you know.
Yeah, the special edition.
Yeah,
Well,
I'm really happy
speaking of
with
that,
that.
do you have like a favorite producer or
Yeah.
region that you'd like to shock and serve?
Yeah, I have a favorite producer is the Vinicius from Paraíso das Ostras. Is in the far south of the island of Florianopolis. To
Okay.
me, is the best oyster farm in Brazil because I know him for a lot of years. They run an oyster farm, and they live there with their family, their parents, and their grandpa was from the same place. They grow up there, so they have a strong connection with the environment. They understand the the goods and the bads, and they keep it a good producing vibe with the crew, and they have a really beautiful place. You know, they grow. They are a medium size. They are not a big company. No, no, but they have a really good oyster. They have here has a round shape, deep cup, native. That for me is the best oyster that you can have here in Brazil. I'm curious about the oyster that you have in Rio de Janeiro. Probably was a Gigas. Did you know it was native or Gigas?
It looks. I have photos. It was from Santa Catarina, so I
It
imagine
was
it's
for sure in 2010 from Santa Catarina, full Gigas. They
yeah.
doesn't grow natives in Santa Catarina until 3 years ago.
Okay. So I remember actually it came with lime, and I was really surprised to see that because I'm like, oh, there's, it's usually bring it with lemon in the U.S. And I, one of the server told me like this is actually a lemon, but it's a lime.
Yeah, yeah, they don't know the difference.
Is there any? I know we're at like 21 minutes, so we're gonna just wrap it up really soon. Is there? Let's see. I don't think that there were any specific questions on Facebook, so I'm gonna just ask my last one.
Okay.
If you can travel anywhere else in the world to try that place's oysters, where would you go?
I just read the question, and I thought that I heard the question and thought that this is would be the difficult to ask, because to answer, because I mean, I could think in a lot of places, but probably the place that I really want to go is Japan, to understand the culture behind the European process of having oysters. They have oysters, I mean, back in the ancient times in Europe for sure, and in America. I mean, I could say that to me to know the Taylor Shellfish Farms to me will be an honor, a place that I love to go. Probably will be I go to Taylor probably first before
Oh,
Japan, because it's expensive here to go to Japan. And but
well,
uh,
maybe
but
we can make that happen. Shout out to
yeah,
Taylor.
yeah, for sure. It would. I would love to meet the both coasts of America. I mean, Washington, Seattle, and the region, and the Northeast, and the Chesapeake Bay. I mean, the other side and everything, and the whole coast, the whole history. I try to learn about the history of oysters
Yeah,
and in America and in the whole world. I mean, reading, and it's not easy to compare with us. We are really in the beginning of our history. We have a lot of potential because of the natural environment, and I mean, I'm trying to keep it the oyster culture together with the care of the environment and everything, and that the oyster farm will protect the environment and everything. This kind of vision I try to
yeah,
pass to people here,
yeah,
to see if we advance
yeah,
in having more oyster farms, and having more places with different characters of oysters. We have a lot of potential, and I would be
yeah.
happy to see a lot of types of oysters here. I would really happy to see it.
Hang on, let me see if I can just post this question on the screen because it's in Portuguese, I'm assuming. Can you see
Oh,
that?
Posso, yeah. He's asking if he can buy Brazilian oysters in America. You don't need it, man. I can ask it. I can answer him in Portuguese. I mean, probably if
I think
he's
he speaks English, maybe?
yeah. Você não precisa comprar ostras brasileiras nos Estados Unidos, porque vocês têm muitas ostras aí americanas que são muito boas, da Taylor, da Rama Rama, e muitas outras fazendas aí, com certeza. I'm
What did
sorry
you
for the Portuguese. I just say that he has a lot of oysters that he can buy here in America.
For sure.
So he doesn't need to eat. But it's a good question in terms of if we don't know, we are not allowed to export oysters to America or to no places in the world yet. We are trying to be certified. It's a question of politics, so it's not easy to break up the trust that they have here. The big companies that export meats and protein, they don't want that us to grow as an exporter, because we have a lot of product for sure. And I like once in a month I receive questions of people asking me to send oysters for different places in the world. I already received from people interested in Brazilian oysters to send to China, to Russia, to different kind of places, but I'm not allowed here. We are just in the internal market.
In the early stages, but you're doing great work. I think we're out of time. We're at 26 minutes.
Okay.
I could go on forever talking about this.
Okay.
But thank you so much. Maybe we can do an exchange. I go down to where you are. You go up to where.
For sure. Just let me know. If I go to America, I will let you know.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you so much, Felipe.
Thank you, Julie. It was a pleasure. Bye.
So thank you so much for tuning in. I just wanted to do a little bit of kind of a sneak preview as my next guest. So on Thursday, we've got Bobby Groves from London, who's going to be talking about, his great oyster adventure across England, Scotland, and I believe Ireland. He wrote a book about it. And then on Saturday, we have award-winning chef Drew Deckman from Baja California will be joining us. So these are at like different times during the day, but you'll have to check out the schedule at oyster.guru/live, or on my Facebook, you'll just see all the scheduled live feeds. So you can get a reminder about that. What else do I need to tell you? Please share this video if you really liked it. It should be saved on Facebook after we close down everything. It would mean a lot. Just spread the word to your oyster nerd friends. If you have suggestions on kind of questions you want to know or places that you want to explore oyster culture, just write it in the comments or leave me an Instagram message, whatever. I'm available everywhere. And I think that's it. All right. So thanks, everybody. Chat later.